And that was a hard thing for me to really unpack and uncover, because I just always felt like I had to have this undying gratitude to allies. Where like, oh my gosh, you're not calling me a homophobic slur. Oh my gosh, you don't think that queer people are disgusting. I should embrace you. I should be happy about that.
Could somebody please make it make sense?
Hey everybody, welcome to Pop of Culture. I'm your host, the Esoteric and Facetious, and this is a Pop of Culture, which is my video essay podcast where I speak on pop culture, social justice, and human experience from a Black, bisexual, millennial perspective. Everything, and I mean everything I say should be taken with a grain of salt, as I'm simply a recent college grad with access to a recording device and the internet. With that being said, my use shouldn't be your sole reason to critique my views unless it's truly relevant. If you disagree with anything I say, let's have a civil conversation in the comment section below. The topic of this video is going to be Dear Female Allies. Don't call your male queer friends or acquaintances cis, girl, honey, etc. And it's just going to be a video where I do a deep dive into some of my feelings on the way that female allies treat queer men. Before we get into the topic of this video, I want to advertise my cover channel, Pop of Culture Sings, where I sing direct R&B, contemporary R&B, pop music, whatever I'm feeling, whatever you're feeling. So if you want to be down like Brandy, if you're down to click RP Aaliyah, definitely feel free to check the channel out. We are laying down some new vocals. I've been singing some songs, getting the vocals right, so uploads will be coming to the channel very soon. Now let's get into this video. So this video is going to be the second video in a series I call The Darkness, and it's basically me addressing my experience, my trauma, different things I went through as a Black queer man. But this video is not necessarily directed towards other Black queer men or queer men who are working through similar things or who may have experienced similar things. This video is directed towards female allies, and I say allies in quotes because I've realized some of these people are not really allies, or they're not the allies they think they are. So in this video, I want to talk about some of my experiences with women who claim to be allies, who I feel don't realize some of the problematic things they do and say and how they impact people like me. So one of the biggest issues I have with some women who consider themselves allies is when they try to call me cis or girl or by she, her pronouns and stuff like that without my consent. I've had women who will come up to me, interact with me, and they'll have the gall, they'll have the audacity to call me cis or girl or honey or some of these little words and phrases. And for me, I'm not somebody who has this like very fragile sense of masculinity where it's like my whole manhood, my whole perception of myself as a man is destroyed if somebody calls me she, cis, girl, whatever. I watch Drag Race, I watch content creators like Manny MUA, so I'm not someone who has this very rigid like, I'm a man, I'm so tough type of mentality. I'm very comfortable in myself. I am a man, I identify as a man, but I'm not somebody who is always trying to prove my masculinity. I just walk through the world as the person I am, and that's what I do. But for me, the thing I've realized is I don't like when women, without my consent, will sit here and try to put me into this girl, cis, honey mode. Because my thing is, I don't really care if a queer man uses that language around me, because some people, that's how some gay men and bi men express themselves. Ooh, cis, honey, girl, whatever. I don't really care because that's a part of the vernacular, that's a part of the way that some people talk. But the issue I have is when women, without my consent, I'm just talking to them, they just know me, they know my name, they've just met me, and because of the way I talk or the way I express myself, they think that they can sit here and call me cis or honey or girl. And the issue I have with this is this realization of, you wouldn't sit here and call any man girl, cis, honey. You're calling me that because you're assuming I'm gay, and you're assuming that not only am I gay, but I'm okay with people talking to me like that. And I have an issue with that. If you wouldn't call a man that you assume to be straight, cis, honey, girl, whatever, then don't call me that. And it bothers me on like a lot of different levels. But I think the reason why it bothers me is because I feel like these people think they're allies, and they may not be outwardly homophobic, they may not be against gay marriage or gay relationships, but the issue with this is it's a different level of bigotry. I have this issue because for me personally, I'm a man, I identify as a man, and I don't feel this need to project this certain level of masculinity. I don't feel I need to talk in a certain way or dress in a certain way to be a man. I am a man, so I feel like I should be treated as a man. And what I mean by that is with he, him pronouns. But the thing I'm realizing is some women, they think, oh, because they assume I'm queer, that somehow it's okay for them to sit here and call me girl, cis, honey, ma'am, whatever. And here's my thing. I hate this whole category thing that I see women do when it comes to them coming into contact with men they presume are queer. I feel like if I talked in a certain tone of voice, like if I talked like this, or I don't even know. That's so weird to me. But if I talked like this and I had certain mannerisms and I dressed in a certain way, then when they'd come across me, then they would say, oh, hey man, hey bro, he, him, like they would talk about me like that. But because I talk like this and I don't inhibit how I behave or perform to fit a certain standard, then some people, they get comfortable and think they can call me sis and girl. And it's annoying to me because these people think they're allies. These people may watch Drag Race or follow Trixie Mattel or Bianca Del Rio, and they may be pro-gay marriage or gay relationships or pro-trans people, LGBT people, the whole acronym. But the reality is you're not. Because the second you sit here and call a person you presume to be queer, she, cis, honey, without their consent, you're sitting here and you're taking the she, her, cis, honey, girl, gay lingo and vernacular as a cis woman, as a often cisgender and heterosexual woman, and applying that to this person without their consent. And that's not cool. And I think for me, that's my issue. When I talk about the whole categorization thing, I don't like this idea that if I don't present a certain level of masculinity, women will feel comfortable calling me girl, cis, honey. And it bothers me a lot because I feel I deserve to be treated like any other man. I don't feel I need to portray this certain level of masculinity to earn this he, him, man, sir, etc. type of thing. And the thing that bothers me about this is I used to think that this was allyship. I would think that because someone says these types of lingo that they're trying to connect and relate to me. But the reality is, whether they realize it or not, it's disrespect. Because when you start treating me differently than any other man that you interact with, if you wouldn't call your brother cis, her, girl, honey, if you wouldn't call men that you're potentially romantically interested in girl, cis, honey, but you choose to do that to me without my consent, you're taking something that doesn't belong to you, this girl, cis, honey language, in the context of queer men, and sitting here putting it on as an affectation, putting it on like a costume to try on, and applying it to me without my consent. That's an issue because it isn't your culture. It's like when people try to use AAVE when that's not how they were brought up or raised. Black people don't own slang, but if you're somebody who grew up not in that environment and you're trying to use a lot of this AAVE and slang, it's not yours to use. You're not my ally when you sit here and call me out of my preferred pronouns. You're not my ally when you sit here and act like all I can be is a sassy, shady, queer man. And let's go into it. I honestly prefer male allies compared to female allies because I think some women don't really know how to be allies to queer men. And this may sound controversial, but it's the truth. Because whenever I interact with a woman who thinks she's an ally, a lot of times all they know how to do is, ooh, sis, honey, yes, mom, the house down boots, slay, ooh, girl, ooh, sis, da-da-da. When I come across men who actually want to be allies, because they have this understanding of men and how we have a relationship with masculinity, I feel a lot of men, when they actually try to be friends with queer men, they give them the space to be themselves and they give them the space to be them and express themselves in that way. A man would not call another man sis, honey, slay, girl, whatever, because they know as a man, even if you're somebody who is comfortable with your masculinity, it can be insulting when people call you things outside of your preferred pronouns or how you want to be referred to. Straight men are not always the perfect allies, but I've experienced when a straight man is willing to be accepting of a queer man, I've noticed they oftentimes will give that queer man the space to be whatever kind of man he is outside of his sexuality and identity. But the issue I have with women is a lot of the times they don't give me that space to be me, all of me. The only thing that they can accept me as or view me as is sassy, shady, quippy, ooh girl, Beyonce, this, da. That's all they can see from me. But the thing about men who are open to queer male friends, the way that they bond and connect with me in my experience is, what do you like? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Who are you as a person? What do you like? They want to know me as a person. But I feel like so many women, they've gotten this very shallow idea of what queer men are from seeing things like Drag Race or watching people like James Charles or Manny MUA or Denzel Dion or Ricky Thompson or Brett Maroc. There's nothing wrong with being somebody who's queer, who's flamboyant, or who presents in a certain type of way, or who is that sassy, shady stereotype. But the issue I have is people watch Pose or Drag Race, and they get this perspective that that's all that queer people can be. And my thing is, yes, I watch Drag Race, yes, I'm into pop culture, yes, I'm into female pop acts, but I like things like Pokemon, Harry Potter, social justice. I like things like exercise and fitness. I like debating morals and ethics. Like, there's so much more to me than this sassy, shady archetype that people try to project onto me. And it's just, honestly, like, I'm really starting to get this, like, very visceral reaction when it comes to women who try to enter my space and project all of these things onto me. I remember one time I was talking with somebody. I worked in housing, and there was this person who was my supervisor, but they weren't really my super. They were like, somebody left the job and they were the in-between while they were getting the new supervisor ready. And I remember talking to them about my content, and they had the gall to say, oh, is your content sassy or is it shady? Like, those were the only two things that my content could be. And I remember just thinking about the story. I always just get so emotional, because it's like, how dare you? And for you to think that you're an ally, for you to think that you're somebody who cares about my community, you don't. Because all you see my community as is femininity, sassiness, shadiness, drag queens. That's all there is to me. And I just, when I see women like this, I don't want them in my space. I don't want them to breathe the same air as me. Because if you can't see me as a human being I am, and all that I am, everything, not just the stereotypes that you apply to me that you've seen in these very limited lenses, I don't want to interact with you. And that's something I worry about when it comes to building my brand as a queer content creator. Because I've seen these people who will say these extremely homophobic, biphobic, transphobic, bigoted things, but they'll kiki and get a laugh to people like 𝑭𝒐𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧 y'all actually are allies, where you actually care to listen to people about their experiences and what they go through. But some of y'all just want to laugh, some of y'all just want to kiki, some of y'all just want somebody to read and shade and teach you all of this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not your queer tour guide. You are not entitled to my trauma or to my culture just because you have an interest in it. If you want to learn about queer culture, watch a documentary, learn about it. But that's the thing, I feel a lot of these people don't want to do research on queer culture or queer history. They just want this very surface level cis, honey, shade, drag race, da-da-da. And while I love drag race, while I love Lil Nas X getting representation, I feel like some people are not actually realizing, like, there's more that these people go through, there's more that these people experience in their life than just, ooh, honey, cis, shade, read, the house down boots. And that's something I want people, if you are a woman watching this video, if you watch queer content creators, if you interact with queer men on a daily basis, you need to realize these are people who have stories. They're not people that you get to try on all this vernacular on. Because I feel like that's the thing I don't like. People, I feel, will do this thing where they'll watch a queer content creator like 𝑭𝒊𝒓𝒔𝒕 or like James Charles or like Jeffree Star, whoever, and they'll kind of have this weird, I feel, relationship with queer men where they only are interested in queer men in a way that, how can this person entertain me? How can this person make me laugh? How can this person teach me something? Like makeup or hair. And they don't see that person's value outside of that. They don't see that this person is somebody who has good experiences, bad experiences, good days, bad days. All they can see them as is a person who is a supplement to them. Here's my thing, I'm not saying all allies are like this, but I'm just going to say this. If you are somebody who comes into contact with queer men, I feel until they give you permission to say, oh, you can call me girl, oh, you can call me sis, oh, you can call me honey, whatever, I feel you need to give them the same respect and the same words and language you would give to somebody who, if you wouldn't do it to your brother, if you wouldn't do it to a man you're potentially romantically interested in, if you're not doing it to a man who you would hold in high regard, don't do it to a queer man unless they give you explicit permission to do so. Because for me, I'm not someone who has ever felt uncomfortable about my masculinity or how I present. It's more so always how other people perceive that masculinity or how I present. So that's the issue. I feel you need to respect people and meet them where they are rather than trying to apply what you are feeling to them. Because that's my thing. Not every queer man wants to be referred to as cis, girl, honey, sis. Some queer men want to be seen as masculine men. They want to be treated in that way. They don't want to be tied to femininity, and that's their choice. And even for me as a bi man, it's kind of hard to feel like I have a potential to connect with women and attract women when people sit here and give me this cis girl treatment. Because if people are assuming that I'm queer and putting me into this category just off talking to me and interacting with me, how am I supposed to approach women when women who don't even know me like that will sit here and call me cis girl, honey, queen, whatever they feel comfortable saying? Because it's like, as a man who's attracted to women, who wants to date women, how am I supposed to feel when people sit here and have the gall to call me cis girl, honey? Because it's like, how am I supposed to feel like women are going to take me seriously? And of course, the women who I'd want to date aren't women who would automatically throw me into that category and talk to me in that type of way. But it's not even just about that. Like, queer men, whether they are bisexual or whether they're gay, they deserve to be talked to in the same way that straight men are talked to. Now, there's some men who like to banter with women and kiki, and I'm someone, I can kiki and I can hold court, but like, my thing is this: I get to define how I'm treated. I get to define how I'm referred to. And as a cis man with a full beard, I don't feel like I should have to have this conversation about my pronouns. But it's just the gall of people to sit here and call me out of my name and to think I'm not going to feel a way about it. That's a problem. And that's why I'm speaking on it, because it needs to be spoken on. I deserve to be referred to the way that I want to be referred to. And one last story. I remember I was interacting with this resident. I worked in housing when I was in college. And one of my residents, I was happy that I was developing this relationship with her where I was talking to her, being friendly with her. But then when she slid in that cis or girl or whatever, it just was like, it felt like a little bit of a wound, like a little stab in the back. Because it's just like, why is it that you can't just be friendly with me and kiki with me without trying to throw in this queer vernacular that isn't yours? And if people don't get that, it's like if you're a black person and whenever you're around this white person, they can't just talk to you like they talk to anybody else. They have to try to throw in all this vernacular and AAVE that they've learned from movies and TV and film. If you're my friend, if you really F with me like that, then let's talk like you would talk to anybody else. But when you have to do this whole thing of switching it up for me, that makes me feel like you don't see me like you see anybody else. And you're not an ally. That's the part I want to get to. You're not an ally if you can't treat me like you can treat anybody else. Now, if I give you permission and we have that relationship, we build that rapport, that's one thing. But for you to do that without my consent, that's insulting, that's dehumanizing. Whether I'm attracted to men or not, I deserve to be treated in the way that all other men are treated. Like, when you start doing this specialized treatment towards me that you wouldn't apply to other people, that's an issue. And for me, I'm somebody who's very comfortable in my own skin, and I like being who I am, talking how I am, doing how I do. I like who I am, and I don't put on this front. There's some people who put on a front of like, oh, I really talk like this, but I'm amping it up, or I really talk like that, but I'm doing this. I talk the way I talk. I walk the way I walk. I dress the way I dress. I don't do this to look a certain way. This is just how I feel most comfortable. So it bothers me that as I'm most comfortable, I can't be treated the way I need to be treated, the way I want to be treated. Everyone deserves to be treated the way they want to be treated. But I guess some people just don't see it like that when it comes to me. I just want people to realize projecting all the queer culture and vernacular, the overly sanitized and marketed queer information that you've been given on the queer people isn't okay. The point I was getting at is I'm comfortable in who I am and I express myself the way I see fit. But the issue I'm seeing is I don't get treated the way some people who are more straight passing get treated. And that makes me feel away, because my thing is this: people who assume I'm queer will call me she, her. But the person that they don't know is queer gets this certain level of respect in he, him, his. When the reality is, no shade, that person could be canoodling with all the men in the city, but they still get this he, him, his. But I get she, her, honey, sis, slay, whatever the house sound boots. And my thing is, I don't think even if a man is canoodling with everybody in town that he should be subjected to different treatment. I think everyone should be treated the same way. But the point I'm making is, straight passing Sean doesn't get the treatment that I get. And I don't like that. I don't like this. I get treated differently and perceived differently. I feel everyone should be treated the same. And that was a hard thing for me to really unpack and uncover, because I just always felt like I had to have this undying gratitude to allies. Where like, oh my gosh, you're not calling me a homophobic slur. Oh my gosh, you don't think that queer people are disgusting. I should embrace you. I should be happy about that. But the reality is no. While I'm glad that there are people who are accepting of queer people, of LGBT plus identities experiences, I'm mature enough and rational enough to realize that not all treatment is the same and not all treatment is good treatment. It's like that whole not all money is good money. If all you can do is see me as a stereotype, a knockoff Ricky Thompson, Quadir Howard for your personal entertainment, that's an issue. If you can't see me as a full human being who was born onto this planet with goals and desires and hopes and dreams for my future, that's an issue. And that's something I can't stand either. Like, if you're someone who considers yourself a female ally to queer men, but you don't have the same concerns in regards for your queer friends or acquaintances that you do for other people, that's an issue. Like, I feel like some people, especially women, they just expect queer men to take up emotional space for them, where these queer men are expected to console them and support them and always be there for them. But these people, they don't reciprocate that love and attention that these queer men give to them. And I'm not going to say that that's true in all cases. I think there are definitely some women out there who are great, stellar allies. But like I said, there are some women who don't really know how to be allies because they don't know how to treat men in the way that men want to be treated and respect men in that way. And what I mean by that is they don't know how to apply that same level of respect and common decency that they give to any man they presume is straight to people they presume is queer. They have this idea in their head that because someone presents in a way that they assume is queer, that somehow they are surrendering their he, him pronouns and surrendering themselves to she, her, girl, honey, sis, slay, when that's not the case. You don't get to call me sis, girl, honey, slay, honey, cis girl, honey, slay the house down boots, mama, if you're not a part of the community. And honestly, let's even go there. Even if you are a bi woman, even if you're a pansexual woman, you still, I feel, need to get explicit permission from that queer man that that's something he's okay with you giving him. Because like I said, my issues when it comes to my masculinity or my identity haven't come from within. I'm comfortable in who I am and what I give. But the issue I have is when people try to project onto me and make me feel uncomfortable or make me feel like I'm different or I'm odd or whatever. I want to reiterate, there are some great women who are allies, who deserve the praise, who deserve the credit. But if you are somebody who falls into this stereotypical thing of all I can see queer men as are sidekicks, are comedic relief, you need to check yourself. And you may need to have some apologies with people where you say, oh, I didn't realize that I was doing that. This video isn't to shame people. This isn't to make people feel bad, but it's just to say, I don't like the way that some people have treated me or have treated other queer men, and it's a problem. And if you're not willing to address that problem, you better take that, oh, I'm an ally, out your bio. You better take that, I'm an ally, out your mouth when you sit here trying to interact with people. You aren't an ally. Just because you watch Drag Race, just because you find queer people entertaining, it doesn't mean you're actually an ally. Do you stand up for queer issues? Do you listen to people and the stuff they've been through and their experiences? So that's what I have to say on that. I have a lot of feelings on that. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Like this video if you like this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the points I made in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, definitely like, comment, subscribe, and share. That way, even if YouTube isn't pushing my content, those who resonate with it are sharing it so it can connect with others who would enjoy it. Those are some easy, free ways to support a pop of culture. If you want to support this show financially, feel free to send a tip to my Cash App or buy me a cup of coffee, both are linked below. All who donate will be featured in the credits of my long-form commentary and cover videos. There are 2 playlists that are going to pop up, one where you can binge watch my covers and one where you can binge watch my commentary. Enjoy. Bye-bye.